What's going on, America? I am Graham Allen, and welcome to the newest episode of the Dear America Podcast. The Drinkin Bros are in studio today. The NFL is back. And are we ruining our culture by not teaching our children that work ethic is actually a good thing? You're going to want to sit back and buckle up for this one, and welcome to the newest episode of the Dear America Podcast. Hey! What's going on, America? Alyssa is back in the studio, and today, as promised, we have the Drinkin Bros themselves.
Hey.
Ross and Dan are here.
Yes.
Yay.
Last time Ross was here, he made it a full 10 seconds in the episode.
You're welcome for my brilliance, Gramphany.
A vulgarity was placed on here. So we love you guys. We're so happy you guys are here. I hate that I couldn't be at the game yesterday.
I know.
I've been under the weather. It seems like anytime there's a really big, cool sporting event, I always get sick or something happens.
You come down with SARS and you are not able to attend the games. Last time was that was a huge one. Alabama
LSU.
Man.
Yeah, he was really bummed out about that for weeks.
Yeah, I was super upset about it. It's like a cruel joke. It really is.
Well, no, it's not a cruel joke. It's that we're living in a simulation.
Yeah, and sim world.
Every time something good's about to happen, somebody's like, nah.
Not for you.
Don't
take that away.
give it to him.
Take that away.
One of the most hated people on the planet these days. Don't let him have any fun. No, I'm just kidding. So real quick, I want to talk about something completely random before we get into stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's not that random. I want to give a shout out to our baby girl today. It is her 6th
It's her
birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Anna Grace.
Anna Grace is really special, not just because she's our daughter, but she actually was almost not here. And so a lot of people don't know that story. And so just really quick, she's like our miracle kid. We went in to
Be induced.
be induced. Everything was good. Everything was fine. Nurse comes in to check Alyssa, see if she's, dilating and stuff. So I'm like, okay, everything's good. I'm going to go get some chips out of the vending machine. So I take off. So I'm at the vending machine. I get some chips and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden just bow, 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 all these alarms start going off. And I'm
Code
talking,
red.
it's like a scene from ER or
It
something.
was.
8 people come full sprinting down the hallway, and they're like, room 8, room 8, room 8. And
Graham's just
sitting there,
eating a chip.
I'm just eating chips, and I see them run by, and I'm like, room 8. Man, that sounds familiar. Room 8. And then all of a sudden it dings on me. Wait a minute, we're in room 8. So I run down there and I bust open the door, and all I see is people just pulling out wires and screaming at each other. And poor Alyssa, I zoom in on her face and she just looks terrified because she has a nurse on top of her, literally.
So let me help you. It was a prolapsed cord.
Yeah.
So she was holding the baby. She was holding Anna Grace
She's
up,
got her
so she would
hand
die.
in Alyssa, like holding the
Her
cord
head up. Yeah.
in
My
there.
God.
Because the umbilical cord came out of the birth canal and it clamped off. And
Close.
so
Close.
Anna Grace is like dying, like can't breathe, anything. And she's screaming at me and hollering all this
Not
stuff.
me, the nurse.
Yeah,
I was crying.
Not Alyssa.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nurse is screaming at me, pull that cord out. So I have to like yank the thing. Next thing I know, they wheel her out and leave me standing there. I'm standing there. I have no idea what happens, and I will never forget it to this day. The doctor comes running in because like the normal clinic is across the street. So he comes running in, and he does this most majestic, for those listening, you can't see this move that I'm fixing to do, but for those watching, you're welcome. He does this like gazelle shed of his coat.
Sure.
And he throws it, doesn't even look, and it lands perfectly on the coat hanger. And they suit him up.
I think Anna Grace being born was obviously 1, and then 2 was this moment for Graham.
Yeah, you're describing George Clooney.
He really
in
liked
ER,
that moment.
circa 98.
I'm pretty sure he was telling me about it as they were cutting me
amongst
open.
the fear of my daughter not being born,
Yeah.
I witnessed a majestic action take place in slow-mo because
Sure.
everything was in slow-mo.
yeah.
Anyway, long story short, obviously everything worked out.
They had her out in like 3
They
minutes.
had her out
She's
and like
good.
bam, and it was
Almost
there.
9 pounds.
And she definitely thinks she runs the house
She
to
does.
this day.
She does.
So
run the house.
since she's fine, right? Looking
Yeah.
back on it, if you had to go onesie
no.
twosies
Just
on
spilled
it,
water.
I would say the coat might be first because I've never seen that in real life. I'm a doctor.
If I was in that situation, I would have said,
We're just going to leave it.
Honey, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to enjoy this doctor.
Yeah. Trying to enjoy that coat
Thank
toss.
you. I was being quiet. I was silently crying. There were silent
She was a
tears running
trooper,
down
man.
my face.
I was freaking out. She was like, as we've got water, I just spilt water everywhere
You
for those
did. I'm
listening.
sorry.
That's fine.
Anyway,
Just-
Jake, can we
get a rag over
here? This is going to be a great episode. We've spilt water.
It's Drinkin Bros. You know how many things we spill on our show all the time?
I don't think people want to know everything that you spill on your show.
It gets nasty sometimes on that show.
Don't throw it. Don't just
I can
walk
catch
into
it.
the camera.
I can
It's
do
fine.
it.
Just walk in.
Aw.
There we go.
There it is.
All right.
There it is. What's his
Yay.
name? Let's give him a shot.
Samuel. Coming in with the
Yay.
save.
Is it L. Jackson or is it just Samuel?
It's just
L.
Samuel.
Jackson.
Okay.
Just
Yeah. Sometimes, you never know.
You don't ever
There's
know.
nothing like naming a
He could
white
have been
person
named
after
exactly.
Samuel L.
Yes,
Jackson.
like Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Just being a
actually
big,
knew Will
huge
Smith.
fan.
All right. Anyway, so that was our little shout out to our daughter. It was the best and worst day at the same, or worst and best day at the same time.
But that coat, man,
I know.
now I'm thinking about it.
It was. I missed it. I
in my
missed
book,
it.
I'm going to go into like full detail
You
about
should.
it. And
Let
things
me
like
ask you
that.
this. Have you caught him going back to hang out with the doctor?
If
I
we were
haven't,
still living in
actually.
Mississippi, I definitely would. His name was
He
Dr.
did make
Carroll.
some late night phone calls at one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
He did. Dr.
All right.
Carroll.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Dr.
was
Carroll.
It always
Carroll.
weirds me out with a man with a female last name.
I almost
Yeah.
didn't go to him. It actually weirded me out. But,
Yeah.
he was highly recommended, so I did.
Wow.
Anyway, all right. Football is back.
Yay, Hail State!
All right,
Yes.
college football has been back for this was week 2, but NFL is in full swing again. We've got the last 4 teams because there's a doubleheader tonight.
Yeah,
right?
doubleheader tonight.
Last 4 teams playing tonight. Mr. Ron, my father-in-law, is a Saints
He's
fan.
in the studio with my mom.
today.
Shout out to Carol.
But you guys were at the Cowboys game.
We were.
with the Giants. Dak Prescott went off.
Hail State.
Man, the spread was 7 in that game.
Yeah, and they just murdered it.
We told people on because we host a sports show, we were like, look, Zeke just signed on Wednesday.
Yep.
I don't know how much he's going to play. I don't know what that offense is going to look like because, look, Dak wanted a new contract, hasn't got it. Amari Cooper wants a new
He
contract.
definitely put
Amari
a
Cooper's
stamp
doing
on
good, too.
that
Both
yesterday.
of those guys.
Yeah.
So Jerry's going to have to back up the truck, but Cowboys look good yesterday.
Yeah, they look good. So speaking of the NFL, you know we're all about culture and politics on this show. So let's talk about Drew Brees for a little bit, and let's talk about that whole fiasco of everything that happened. So for people that don't know, Drew Brees, I don't know, was it a week ago or something like that? Drew
roughly a
Brees
week.
filmed a video that was sponsored by Focus on the Family, basically encouraging, because he's a very vocal Christian, Drew Brees. So he basically says, hey, October 3rd is Take Your Bible to School Day. I encourage any Christian child, teenager, high school, or whatever, take your Bible to church on October to school.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You should take your Bible to
definitely
church
take your
as
Bible
well.
to church.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Take it to
Take
both.
it everywhere.
But October 3rd, he didn't say go say that Muslims are bad or that gay people shouldn't have rights. He doesn't say any of that stuff. He just simply says, take your Bible to church October 3rd.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got buried for
the
that.
blow-
The
Blowback, he did.
LGBTQ backlash from that was wow.
It was so intense that they almost added 3 more letters to it. Because that's where we're headed with it.
Yeah.
We're going to
You're
take up
right.
half the alphabet soon.
Yeah,
and then
Dave
that's
Chappelle
that.
calls them the alphabet people.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is what it's come down to, because everybody wants to identify as something or
Right.
be outraged by something.
Right.
And
So-
with Drew Brees, like, let's say it's not the Bible, right?
Right.
Just encouraging children to take books with them. Yeah, any book would be fantastic, let alone the Bible, especially on a day like that. It makes no sense to me.
So we'll get into his response in a minute, but you guys being the guest today, whether you're a religious person or not, is this a big deal? I mean, is this something that should have been just blasted? I mean, people were even calling for him to be fired.
Well, look, a Christian guy encouraged other Christians to carry a Bible.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, where's the news?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't understand. Like, I do not understand. What is there to be upset about?
I think in today's current media, right, the news cycles are so fast and so quick.
Right.
There isn't enough time. I mean, there isn't enough stories to fill up this much time.
agree.
So you're constantly just waiting, right? You've got rooms full of people who are just waiting for that one
Trolling.
thing. And it's like, all right, here's a story. How can we pull something out of this?
twist it. Yep.
Yeah, to make a headline out of it. Matt Best was on Tommy Lahren.
Yeah.
And, they posted the interview on Fox, but the headline read like, Matt Best is trying to profit off of veterans. And it was like,
Oh, I didn't know
no,
that.
that was a huge interview. And that was the clickbait title for it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, man.
So things like that is that keeps happening over and over and over again. So on that day, it was a real slow news day because we do 7
Right.
shows a week.
You're right.
Yeah.
You look at that Drew Brees thing and you're like, Bible.
Yeah.
Bible's a key word.
Well,
And I think it was because, I could be wrong on this, but I think it was because it was backed by Focus on the Family, who is very adamantly, does their beliefs about.
Focus on the Family is very, I mean, they are. Here's the big thing that I have a problem with, from whether you call it the right does this, the left does this, everybody does this. If you disagree and you don't support, that automatically equals hate, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If Focus on the Family is a very, very Christian-based organization, well, then by very definition, I mean, if you read the Bible and things like that, there's a very good case that you are anti-LGBTQ. That does not mean that you hate people in the LGBTQ community.
You just don't
that just
agree.
means religiously you don't agree with the lifestyle they choose.
But I
Right.
want to say that's why he got so backlash too, was because of that.
True, but it's the outrage culture, right?
Right.
It is
Yeah.
a little bit, but there's look, if you like, maybe I don't like your haircut, and to say that out loud, that kind of makes me a word that I'm not going to say on your show.
Yeah.
Honestly. So
Well
if
done.
I-
Applause to that.
Yay!
not that I don't like your haircut, but
Yeah, it's the only haircut I can have. I'm balding, so this is it. This is the only
look, James Dobson's not a bad guy, I don't think. He's been
No.
around for a long time.
Yeah.
He actually has one of my favorite quotes. He says, the more often you catch your children doing the right thing, the less often you'll catch them doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Oh,
meaning
wow.
that,
Yeah, that's
like,
a good one.
Positive
That is
reinforcement
good.
really works. But look, if you feel some kind of way about what other people are doing in their lives and it doesn't affect you, maybe shut up.
Yeah.
Is my
Yeah,
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like,
Well,
it's super
but
easy.
if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's the same outrage that the LGBTQ community has with Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
Chick-fil-A have a gaydar detector on the door where gay people can't come in there?
No, I mean, look, the
No.
501c3s they donated to did work against marriage equality.
Yeah.
Right. And when that became public, Chick-fil-A stopped giving them money.
Yeah.
So look, even if you're on the wrong side of an issue at some point, and this is America, you have to have the opportunity to correct your action and move on from that. And it's exactly what they did. So shut up.
Yeah.
Like,
but I was-
how long are you going to talk about it after it's over?
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
And they have the best chicken. Be
Ever.
quiet.
So
Yeah.
look, that's the one thing that, because I was in Los Angeles when that whole controversy happened,
Oh.
and they had just opened a brand new Chick-fil-A right in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Right on, and you know how many people stopped going to Chick-fil-A? None.
I was going to say, did anybody?
None.
It's
The
so
chicken
good.
supersedes everything.
It does.
They could do whatever they want
Pretty
at this
much,
point in
yeah.
life.
I
Well,
agree.
speaking of Chick-fil-A, and we'll come back because I really want to get into how Drew Brees responded. But Chick-fil-A, did you guys see? I think it was a Chick-fil-A open up in Toronto, and like people like protested by having a die-in where they acted like they were dead in front of the new Chick-fil-A.
You're kidding me.
People literally just walked over them eating chicken sandwiches.
Yeah,
like
I would have too.
I would have too. Let me
Nobody
park.
cared.
Excuse me.
I would have stepped over them like Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue.
You know what you need? You need some of this Jesus chicken. Maybe it'll bring you back to life
That's
there
right.
on this thing.
Whatever they're doing
Go
there.
out there with a spray bottle and start baptizing
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Back to Drew Brees. Okay, so Drew Brees, I think it was on Saturday. Saturday comes out with a video, and before we get into that, I now have to get into a sponsor.
Yeah.
Do
Woo,
you?
woo, woo, woo.
There are a lot of underwear brands that claim to be big on comfort. But if that were true, then why are 75% of men and women dissatisfied with their underwear? My hunch is that they haven't tried Tommy John, the revolutionary underwear brand that's upgraded over 1 million lives. Tommy John doesn't just claim to be the most comfortable underwear on the planet. They actually have the stats to back it up. For starters, their horizontal quick draw fly. Welcome to Dear America, everybody. Their quick draw fly has been proven to save men over 217 unfurling minutes a year. Did you know that?
Unfurling minutes.
Did you
No.
waste 217
Wow.
minutes trying to fiddle around to go to the bathroom?
My God, the copy that they give you is incredible because we have a lot of sponsors on Drinkin Bros
Yeah.
as well. Man, I go with it.
Hey.
I use that as a kind of a
You've got
guide.
to purchase Tommy John simply for that being a talking point.
Simply for using the word unfurling.
Yeah,
If you
amen.
prefer to shop in stores, not just online, you can find them in over 1,200 retail locations across the country, including Nordstrom stores nationwide. Tommy John, no adjustment needed. Hurry up to TommyJohn.com/Graham now to get 20% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/Graham for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/Graham. All right, now back to Drew Brees. He comes out with a video on Saturday. I view it, I don't know. I'm really not for apologizing
Yeah.
videos, especially when you didn't do anything wrong. Now, if Drew Brees had come out there and said the N-word or something like that,
Sure.
yeah, you might want to apologize for something. But you didn't say anything wrong. Just because some people got bent out of shape about it, that's not your problem.
No.
That's their problem. But he goes on to say, let me set the record straight. And then he says something along the lines of, I live by two main values. Love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and mind, and then treat your neighbor as yourself. That's what he says. And then he goes...
It's one of the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, exactly right. I agree with you 100%. But again, treating people as you'd want to be treated doesn't mean you agree with everything they say.
Did he come under fire for that? I didn't know he came out
I
and
haven't
followed up
heard
with it.
a whole lot of reactions, but to me...
No, the news cycle's over now. No one cares.
News cycle's
Yeah.
over, but to me, it's kind of like the Mario Lopez thing.
Yes.
Where Mario Lopez came out after that whole, your 3-year-old shouldn't be allowed to decide what gender they
Oh
want
no!
to be.
Look here. I've actually, since he said that, I disagree with him. I've been letting 3-year-olds do my taxes.
Yeah. I've got a child under 5. I let him do whatever he wants
Yeah,
because
just
they
whatever.
know exactly everything that's going on in the world under 5
Oh,
years old.
absolutely.
Change
Ask my
your
daughter.
gender. Change your gender. Do whatever you want.
He's got no eyebrows. His name is Hercules now.
All right. But, okay, one, do you guys view that as, do you think he walked it back a little bit? Or do you think he just said what he thought? Do you think he said what he thought he should say? Or do you think that it was even his idea? Do you think that maybe the NFL maybe said, you need to say something?
I don't think it was the NFL. I think Drew Brees is a great enough guy that somebody said, hey, man, would it hurt if, like a publicist, can we just lob this apology out there for you and be done with this? And he was probably like, yeah, let's just get back to the season. I don't want to deal with any of this or anything that's going to come back to it. Mario Lopez was a different sitch where his job was under fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he was this close to getting fired on
Yeah.
that network. And the two hosts that he's on the show with on it's either Access Hollywood or Extra,
I think it's extra.
they came on and said, we do not agree with Mario Lopez and
wow.
we hope that he learns from this and blah, blah, blah. And then they posted his statement after that. Then he showed up to work on Monday morning.
Imagine going to work the next day.
I know.
Looking at those people. Oh,
But
really?
I guarantee you off air, the co-host came up to him and said, hey, man,
We had to.
we're stuck too.
Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, great.
But is that, and I've got two reasons for this. So we're talking about this, and we've got another NFL thing I want to talk about. And all this goes into this culture that we're establishing in 2019 to where all you have to do is be offended by something.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And you can wreck somebody over simply you took offense to what they said.
Yeah, I think people should listen to our show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
If you want to get offended, come on over.
Yeah.
We'll help you out with that one.
But that's the point. I mean, so what if he said, even if Drew Brees said, as an American, you have the freedom and the right to do and live exactly the way that you want, and as an American, I accept that. As a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle. What's wrong with that? I mean, what is wrong with even saying that?
Well, with the NFL, they're
There it is.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
So they're all about inclusion now, and also selling out. Because
Right.
Jay-Z now took over after infamously turning down the Super Bowl gig,
Yeah.
saying
and
everybody
he's
else
getting
should.
raked over the coals too.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
He is so rich. I don't know if you saw when the opening nights of the NFL. As soon as it started, hey, we're gonna give you a concert brought to you by Rock Nation. And that's Jay-Z's company.
Yeah.
So not only is he picking all the musical acts,
Yeah.
including the Super Bowl,
Right.
my prediction is he'll have a piece of a team. So people will get offended. And to the point of let's get paid.
Right.
Once he gets paid, Jay-Z was able to magically look past Kaepernick and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And with the NFL now trying to include everyone with the Drew Brees thing, it's like, hey, man, Drew, can we just dial it back and maybe release this statement or whatever? And Drew's probably like, fine, man.
I had talked to Graham. I'm just curious when we're going to have a transgendered situation
it's only
coming on and how they're going to handle that. And then what is football? Yeah, and what's football going to look like in 10 years if we keep going down the path we're going?
It's only a matter of time. Which again,
because that's where it's headed.
It is, and I think if you're looking at it from what realistically might happen, this Carly Lloyd sitch, where she came out and kicked the 55-yarder and said women can absolutely be field goal kickers in the NFL.
Yeah.
If we practice enough, I think somebody will.
Yeah.
And then once they get out there, and you get a bobbled snap, and you get absolutely trucked
decimated
by a guy 285 coming off the end.
There it is.
That
right
will
there.
end that conversation for life.
I personally, if you think that you can handle it in the NFL and you want to go for it, go for it. I mean, I truly believe.
I think there's a lot of guys.
Not?
There's a lot of guys that are going to pull up short on her and just push her down.
And
the
there
ground.
it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
There's some guys like Sue, for example. He will drop kick her right in the chest.
Yeah, and stomp on her as he gets up. Yeah. But there's the thing, and that's the slippery slope, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about it's not about if women can do certain things in the NFL. You know what? I believe sure, or kickoff, not necessarily extra points or things like that. Kickoff.
Yeah.
Where's the harm in the kickoff? Female athletes going in there.
If you get it down to the 10, then everybody's coming at you.
Well, that's true. But my point is, them
but
going
I don't want to watch
into
a bunch of women. No, just saying. I want to watch a football with
just
men.
for disclaimer, the female on the show said
and
that.
I can say that because I'm a female.
Okay,
Exactly.
But then at that point, can dudes who don't make the NFL roster, can they go into like what's the
WNBA?
Yeah,
the lingerie league or whatever it is?
Yeah, or the WNBA.
Yeah.
What if LeBron identified as a woman and then just went out and he'd drop 180 again?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on to players that have complaints about things. Let's talk about AB, Antonio Brown, for a little bit.
Yeah,
now,
there's actually a good theory on him. So he got rocked a couple years ago.
Yes.
Like got hit. Who was the guy that hit him?
Perfect.
you think
Who actually plays for the Raiders.
He's got a TBI or whatever?
I think he might have some
that
CTE
would make
issues.
sense.
There is a rumor floating around that after that Vontez Burfict hit, which was brutal, right?
Yeah, he got rocked.
He got concussion. He was out for a while. His teammates and his friends around him said he's just not been the same person mentally.
Yeah.
His work ethic has never been questioned, right? But his mental state, that's when he stopped showing up. Like he got sat out of week 17. The Steelers released him, or traded him, which ended up being the best move for them. But I think there actually might be something to it. Did you watch the Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
It looked like a guy who was just mentally lost. Like he was able to dial it in for practices and things like that, where you're like, all right, cool. But with the rest of it, like,
okay.
Yeah, like publishing that weird video overlaid with the call between him and Gruden. What possible good could that have done?
Did you see that? It was an illegally taped phone call because California doesn't have a.
It's a two-party consent state.
Yeah. Well, let's catch the audience up that might not know what we're talking about really quick. So Antonio Brown was wide receiver for the Steelers.
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
Best in the game. By the way.
Best in the game. All right.
He's still physically probably the best in the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only person that is close and just barely doesn't come to his stats is Julio Jones, Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
The only person that has had more catches and yards in their first so many years of Julio Jones is Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because of what you just said, he ends up getting sent off from the Steelers to the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And, man, he had some problems. First of all, there was the whole helmet thing. He can't see in the Raiders' helmets. He wants his helmet from the Steelers shipped over and painted Raiders so he can see. Then he sits out. Then he doesn't show up to workouts and all this stuff. Then he finally shows up after getting fined. Then was it the owner or the general manager, a cracker?
Yep.
And then goes on Instagram and says, "Release me," and he starts talking about horses with blinders on.
Oh, wow.
In the thing. And then they release him. Within 6 hours, he's a Patriot.
Yeah.
All right. So my question is this. Even if he does have something mentally going on, all right, which the NFL has been a failure for mental health for a very, very, very long time, are we not rewarding either medical in need of attention behavior, or are we rewarding bad behavior by doing this? I mean, didn't he get at the end of the day? Really? I mean, he's got a $10 million guaranteed prove me year, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then if he does well, like he most likely will, he's probably going to get a big payday at the end of this. I don't know. It just seems like we're in this constant cycle of, even if he does have something mental going on, somebody should be doing something about this or saying something or getting this guy help. And if he doesn't, you act like a punk, you are selfish, you're not a team player, and then you get exactly what you want out of all that?
Well, talent supersedes everything in life. If you're a musician, an athlete, talent will supersede.
Right.
Even Kaepernick, the Kaepernick stitch, right? People would be willing to sign him again and deal with everything that comes with Colin Kaepernick if he was an elite quarterback. The problem is he's a backup. He's a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So nobody really cares about a backup quarterback.
True.
Now with Antonio Brown, I'm just going to walk back this timeline real quick because before he posted the Instagram clip and then the video with John Gruden on the phone, he made an emotional speech to the team where he was crying
and like apologized for blah blah blah.
And that was on Friday.
Yeah.
He called everybody into a team meeting and said, "Hey, with the captains on each side, apologized." Started crying in there. The team accepted him back, and then they said, "Great, you're going to play on Monday." That Friday night, he posted the video. That was very Britney Spears, like shave head moment where you're like, what is this?
Happening?
And it was a professional editor who did it. So it looked like he was sitting on it waiting to do it because it's a 2-minute video.
Right.
Somebody's got to edit that and then score it to the phone call.
Well, you know what the weird thing to me is? And you mentioned it. It was within 6 hours that the Patriots had to deal with him.
Yeah.
Like, so what are the chances that the Patriots were talking to him already? And
Hey, man, get kicked off the team.
That's where I lean towards in the end.
Well, because everything now that we know in this world, nothing goes 6 hours.
No.
It takes days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
you're
don't
not
just come up with a deal and then have it signed within 24 hours.
So is he mentally incompetent or is he a genius?
And that's what I'm getting at here. I think that you can go those routes and do this, but something like that with the Patriots, that's a very calculated, that's a very thought out, methodical type move.
Yeah.
You've been having conversations, you've been having this. And so for me, especially with the NFL, I just think that there comes a certain point when you have a certain level of influence, especially to younger generations. Mm-hmm. We have a responsibility to figure out who we're rewarding. If you are that athlete, you have a responsibility. You do. Young people look up to you. What kind of example are you setting for these younger people that are looking at you? Oh, so all I got to do is be really good at a sport, and then I can act and behave however I want. And
I feel like that's how it's been for years, though, generations.
Years,
I mean, it's horrible.
I am not taking away from the athletic ability and the God-given talent of these athletes. I'm not. I can't do it. I'm not an idiot.
I could, but I'm a woman.
There you go.
Well,
there you
be
go.
a kicker.
But perspective is everything,
Who
right?
wants to be a kicker?
Humbleness is a very big thing. Okay? At the end of the day, you got to look at it and say, when it really comes down to it, I run really fast and I catch a ball. There's a doctor that literally saved 16 lives last night. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just, you are not all that. The whole world doesn't revolve around you. And the NFL is one of the most corrupt organizations where they do nothing but reward bad behavior unless they cannot get around it from public opinion.
Well, they also don't pay taxes.
Well, there you go.
The NFL for the last, 17 years has been a tax-exempt organization.
Yeah.
Oh, so, I believe it.
And then in the last, week alone, even Ezekiel Elliott, he's not the greatest guy off the field, and he got $90 million as well.
Oh,
and it's two examples of, hey,
I could be a millionaire if I want a woman.
Yes.
Speaking of corrupt organizations, wouldn't it be nice if search engines and social media sites were unbiased platforms that didn't choose a side politically? Keep dreaming. In 2016, the tech elites at Google bragged about donating millions of dollars to Hillary. These big tech companies that push their political agenda and restrict the free speech rights of conservatives are the very same corporations that we're trusting to handle our personal data online. I don't want them using my web history, email metadata, or video searches against me. That's why I use ExpressVPN every time I go online. When I use ExpressVPN, these tech companies can't see my IP address at all. My identity is masked and anonymized by a secure VPN server. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Graham. That's expressvpn.com/Graham for 3 free months with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Graham to learn more. All right, let's change it up a little bit. I got one more thing for the NFL, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Alyssa, what you got?
What would you do for the men of the group?
I don't know if this is the right group for this kind of thing.
It's really not that big of a deal.
For those of you that listen to Drinkin Bros, you already know. You went, ooh,
No,
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't think it's going to be. So this is a Pennsylvania couple is accused of theft after going on a shopping spree with $120,000 that was mistakenly deposited into their bank account.
Oh, I saw this.
So unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately, state police, the bank, anyway, they pressed charge. So they're
charging them with theft.
They did. Yeah. They got charged with theft and robbery, like they used the goods. So I'm just curious
How
if
can
someone,
you do that?
I'd wondered that too, but if someone put $120,000 in your bank account, would you spend it? What would you do with it? Or would you say, ooh, this isn't mine, let's go turn it in?
Well, first of all, how can you charge someone with theft for that? That's not their fault.
That's very bizarre. To me.
Yeah.
Is it possession 9/10 of the law? Hey, that's in my bank account.
Absolutely.
I didn't do it.
It's like a bearer bond.
Yeah.
You could also say maybe a relative put it in there as a happy.
I probably would spend, I don't know.
I'd spend it.
Thank you.
I would totally
thank you, God.
spend it. Come get it. Put me on a payment plan for the next 40 years.
They bought 4-wheelers, an SUV, a car trailer. They gave $15,000 to their family and friends, which I thought was very generous.
That's nice. That's
I
nice
know,
of
right?
them.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
What if they had donated it to charity? What would they have done then?
Then what?
And
then
it was
what?
a clerical error by the bank teller. So obviously they probably got
so
fired.
the bank just has to swallow that one, and the bank teller gets fired.
So they were arraigned on charges for theft and receiving stolen property. But they probably
How
didn't
do they know it's stolen property?
Wow.
I know. So there was that story.
That's
Dear
terrible.
America. What do you think? Do you think receiving $120,000 randomly in the bank and spending it is theft? I think that's garbage.
Okay, I got
I
one
did
more.
too.
So are y'all married?
Yes.
Okay, so
Dan,
two
never.
married.
Never,
okay,
Dan.
okay, it's okay. Girlfriend
Nope.
works. All right, so this is what happened on an airline.
Oh, goodness.
It's being a good husband. Did they take this too seriously? Apparently, this man stood 6 hours on a plane ride so his wife could lay down in his seat. And someone captured it all. 6 hours this man stood, and she laid across the seats.
Wow.
Would you do it or not?
Nope.
No.
No, not in a million years.
Yeah.
I know. I thought it was kind of weird.
How
Anyway.
I
weird.
actually, when my wife was giving birth, I actually asked us to lay in her bed and make her stand up.
Hey, sometimes
'Cause
you
I
give
was
birth
exhausted.
easier that way.
I was exhausted,
Hey, man.
super tired that day.
I'm all about chivalry.
Yeah.
But that's ridiculous.
No, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's
I
no
would.
way.
That's the dumbest thing I've
I
ever
don't
heard.
quite understand. That's what a lot of people said. No one would do that. That the wife was being selfish and
What-
sort of sat up in her seat.
What is it that
Yeah.
people say? It really is a two-way street, like first date, all right? or subsequent dates in general. The dude should pay, right? That's
Yes,
just the expected
absolutely.
thing. But at the same time, the woman should not expect that at the same way. And what? Hang on, Alyssa, before you jump up. What I'm saying
Yeah, I can't do
is
the eyebrow.
the offer should be there, but then the man is a crappy person if he does not obviously pay for it. But at the same time,
Correct.
the woman, I don't know. I think it's a slope there.
Well, she should do the natural.
It's the right test. To my opinion, the right test for the lady is to offer to go halvesies on it. That's like the test, right? Instead of being like just looking at it, being like, "What are you going to do?"
No. In my opinion, you invite a lady out for a nice Olive Garden
To
dinner.
be clear,
Exactly.
I
You
completely
pay.
think
Absolutely.
the man should pay. I'm not saying that the man should not pay.
Our first meal when Graham came back from overseas, he took me to Sonic and paid for my cheese.
That is true story.
yeah.
I came in on mid-tour leave,
Yeah.
and she picked me up from the airport, and she's like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I've
It was
got
the
to get
first
some
time we
cheese
met
sticks from
in years.
Sonic.
Yeah.
Got to get some cheese sticks." So we did. That was our
He didn't
first.
share his cheese sticks.
Look,
He had to buy me some.
I usually pay, but I'll send them an invoice in the mail.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because to me,
Invoice them
that's
later.
If it
That's-
doesn't work out,
that's
if
smart.
it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
you send them a
Do
bill.
you keep a running
Oh, yeah.
if y'all date for 3 months, keep your
Yep.
receipts?
Yeah,
Very
I like that.
itemized he is.
Yeah,
Yes,
Very
itemized.
itemized.
And
That's
if
it.
I
I like
ever
that.
have a kid, I'm going to do the same thing. If the kid turns out to be a
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
pay me that money back.
Yeah,
Let's go, buddy.
pay it back. I
Yeah.
like it. Ooh, I've got a Dear America question for the married people / interrelationship people in the audience. Okay.
Oh.
I personally, as a Southern man, believe that ladies shouldn't have to touch the trash, right? The dudes take the trash out.
Correct.
They
Sure,
take it to the road.
that's the way it is in my house.
Yeah, okay. However, ladies, does that give you the right to stack a multitude of a pyramid trash outside of the limit of the trash can for then the man to have to put his hands all in the trash
You know what, though?
to get it to close?
If it was consistently being taken out, it probably wouldn't get into
So
a bounce.
basically, let me stop you right there.
Oh, no.
This is not a question for Dear America. This is marriage counseling.
Yeah,
Yes,
marriage
it is.
counseling
This
right
is-
now. Yeah. All
You're
I'm
correct.
saying is, babe, you go through trash like some people breathe
We
air.
have 3 children.
Okay?
Yep.
Just close it off and start a new bag,
No.
and then I'll change it
I
and put it
refuse.
in.
10 years, I ain't doing it.
I just, man, to
Not
me, it
touching
just
it.
doesn't seem fair.
I would do your
Ross, what do
laundry.
you think?
You cook dinner for him?
well, actually, we both do. He cooks better than me, actually.
Okay.
But I do everything else.
Laundry?
You're losing that. She does the laundry. Yes,
I do the
that's
laundry.
100% true.
Boom. Then you
Dishes,
trash.
toilets,
Yep.
everything
Got to do
else.
trash.
But
Get the
even
kids
touching
ready.
the trash, like even if okay,
Lunches.
all
nothing
right,
nothing
all
you
right.
can do.
Okay.
Sometimes
All
there's
right.
nothing
Clean
you
the
can
floors.
do.
Maybe, all right, maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong. All right.
Absolutely. Now,
Hashtag
I don't
Dear America,
recycle.
let me know.
I don't recycle
Oh,
because that
we're
makes
so
No,
bad.
that
don't.
makes
Let's
America
move
look
on.
poor.
Yes, let's
So
move on
it makes
from recycling.
it makes America look poor. I don't do it.
All right, let's
I don't
talk.
do it.
Let's talk NFL. And again, this goes in the culture. So this came from the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 12-year-old Jalen Clyburn started mowing lawns to save money for college this summer. Lowe's and the head coach of the Panthers, Ron
Rivera.
Ron Rivera. Okay, heard his story. Got the kid all new equipment for his growing business.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he posted a video about it, about the kid and everything. It's the backlash that they got that I want to talk about. All right. They got murdered over
What was
this.
the
For
backlash?
why?
Okay. Here we go. This is not a feel-good story. A, the kid shouldn't have to pay for college in the first place.
Oof.
B,
Oh.
he definitely shouldn't have to mow lawns to pay for it. C, you rich a-hole corporations should have just paid for him to go to college. What does a lawnmower even cost, for Christ's sake?
Wow.
Wow.
They got destroyed over this video.
So I have a question then. Are they paying for his college?
Well,
Everyone who said that?
That could be the question.
It's kind of a non sequitur.
Yeah.
The Panthers are a football team. They're not a freaking school.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, again, okay.
I thought it's great. It's encouraging him, his hard work,
Same.
his growing business.
Kids have to work.
They
Are we
do.
just
They have
saying
to appreciate
that you don't
what
have
they
to
have.
work anymore?
Apparently.
That's what I'm getting at.
And where's the money coming from?
Yeah, the kid's like
The
11,
haters?
first of all. Okay, so you don't know what that kid's going to do the next 7 years to get scholarships or anything.
And honestly, he
might
started
join
this
the
business.
military.
He's
Who knows?
probably very, very proud of his
Yeah.
business.
How have we fallen so far that we don't sit there and go, good for that kid and good for those parents at
Yeah.
the same time? Hey,
Yeah.
dude, ain't nothing in this life for free. Get your butt out there and go work for something. Why is that
Well,
a bad thing?
I understand why somebody would be upset about college tuition because it's out of control.
Well, it is out of control.
And it's more like big pharmaceutical than it is anything, right? So
Well, yeah.
there's artificially inflated prices. If
Oh,
you,
of course.
If you look at the wage increases in secondary education
Right.
in the United States over the last 25 years, the administrative costs have gone up something like 2,000%,
Wow.
whereas the teachers' salaries, actual professors, have gone up about 27%.
Oh,
So it's like not even close.
wow.
All these costs, it's just extra stuff on top, and it's not providing any additional education to our kids. And it's the same thing with pharmaceutical industries. They charge that amount because they can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And we still
I
go.
heard a really good argument for college tuition, and it said, why is every class and everything the same amount of money? Like, if you are going to school for an arts degree, you shouldn't have to pay the same amount of money for tuition for somebody that's trying to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
like the tuition is based around what the actual national average is
possible
that
profession
you're going
might
to
be.
make
Yeah.
for the possibility of being able to pay it back. I thought that was actually a
that's
really good idea.
interesting.
Anyway.
But you should be able to. You should still teach kids to work.
Yes,
Agree.
exactly.
Well, you know, Bill O'Reilly always tells the story that he painted houses right around
Yeah.
Massachusetts during the summer. But there's no amount of houses you could paint in the summer to pay for college at Harvard now.
True.
It's
Well,
impossible.
my guess
But
would be the
it
parents would
teaches
probably
work
help them.
ethic
It's
that
teaching
we
ethic.
need.
And it's teaching pride. They're proud of what
Yeah.
they do. They have built this, lawn mowing
Yeah.
corporate, whatever,
Company,
the neighbor's
yeah.
company. Yeah, I don't know. It
I
encourages.
bought, when I was in school, I bought a PS2, and it took me all summer to raise enough money just for that one PS2.
Yeah.
And buddy, I treasured that thing like I've never treasured anything else because I worked all summer for that deal. I know that seems really small level,
No, it
but
doesn't.
it's just true. You appreciate things that you actually have to work for, that you actually have to earn. You appreciate it more. I don't know, man. It just, again, it goes to this culture that I don't know where we're going. It really bothers me.
Yeah, because I had to work. I remember my freshman year of college, I was short on rent for the summer, right?
Right.
And I needed a job that paid me just $100. I was $100 short on rent. And there was one job out there that said, hey, this job's super difficult. If you can just make it through 3 days,
This
right?
job sucks really
We
bad.
will give you that $100 and then, take it off of your next paycheck or whatever. And it was like, great. Now the job itself will shock your mind.
Oh, no.
It was a skate guard at a roller rink, a referee,
A
right?
skate guard?
Totally.
That's a real thing?
Jersey, whistle,
Oh,
Janet
no.
Jackson headset. You know exactly what I'm
That
talking
actually
about.
sounds fun.
Totally. So I was like, man,
That's easy.
that seems too good to be true.
And it was.
8 hours a day. Yeah. So old school brown roller skates
Yes,
with
the best.
with the orange
Yes, the
wheels.
wheel, yep.
Absolutely. 8 hours, my first shift.
Oh, you're exhausted. Your legs
You're
cramping.
skating for 8 hours, cramping, blisters. I woke up the next morning and I felt like I had ran 9 marathons.
Your glutes were amazing.
Amazing. The place was called United Skates of America. I want to give them a shout out because they're probably closed down now.
Wow.
Probably.
But after the first week, like I built
you
up
lasted
my
3 days.
I did.
Good for
because
you.
I had to pay.
That's
I had
right.
to pay
You had to pay
for
your
rent,
rent.
and that was that.
Oh, that's funny.
No, when I got fired was when they told me to put on the Scatosaurus Rex costume. Which was a giant dinosaur, and then serve this kid a birthday cake while
You coulda
seeing
done
the
it. You
chicken
coulda done
dance.
it.
If
spins.
anyone listening knows what Ross is talking about and has any photo evidence, we would really appreciate it.
Columbus, Ohio was on 71 South,
Wow.
right by
we
campus.
need to find that kid
Wow.
The United Skates of
of
America.
Are they still open?
Are they open?
Hashtag
We're going to
Dear America,
digest
let us
that
know.
visual, and really quick, we're going to get into another sponsor. Speaking about the world going downhill, the world is changing. The fact is all over our headlines. And when it does, it only takes one major disaster to remind us how fragile life is. When emergencies strike, are you prepared for days without electricity and stores being closed for weeks? If not, today's the day to act. It's National Preparedness Month. Make a plan. I've built an emergency food storage supply, and I prepare with my Patriot Supply. They lead the preparedness industry and sell the emergency food, gear, and water filtration products that you will need at some point. Act now and save $100 on 4-week emergency food supply when you go to my special website, preparewithgraham.com. Ooh,
fancy.
These tasty 4-week food kits last up to 25 years in storage and average over 2,000 calories per day. Order now and get free shipping from My Patriot Supply discreetly to your door. Don't ignore the writing on the wall. Prepare for what's coming and save $100. Go to preparewithgraham.com, preparewithgraham.com. All right, so let's talk about outrage culture because it seems to be everywhere. You guys seen the trailer for the new Joker movie?
Oh, yeah.
That
Seen
looks
that?
so good.
Yeah.
Well, they just debuted it at don't make me lie, some film festival that they put like all the movies that they think are going to be like Oscar
Venice.
worthy. There it is.
Venice
yeah,
Film Festival,
yeah. I
yes.
should have known you.
Come on,
That's
brother.
All right. Basically, Joker movie is slammed by social justice warriors for glorifying incel violence.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, social justice people were triggered by the movie because it is, I guess, making an entire movie about what happens to somebody if they are verbally, physically abused for so long. What happens?
To me, it's probably, this is what I've heard. It is an honest look at mental health.
Yeah.
And they're using the Joker as a guy who's been bullied his entire life, what happens to him with his mom, who's crazy, and then what you end up turning out to be. Here's what I can promise you about the social justice warriors. That will not stop them from going to see this opening weekend.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right
Absolutely
now,
not.
because they do a kind of a pre-tracking of a movie.
Yeah, it's basically like a straw poll almost.
Right.
Yeah, and to see how much money it's going to make right now. It's projected to make 110 opening weekend,
Wow.
smashing everything. So
Yeah.
they will
I
come
wanna
out in
see
full
it.
force. Joaquin Phoenix, they've already tapped him to be nominated
We
for an
saw that,
Oscar.
yep.
Yeah.
So It's not going to stop anybody at this point, but the movie, all the reviews that I've read have been, this is super creepy.
Yeah,
and it's an unbelievable look. It's at mental health.
But of all the movies that have been made, don't movies kind of make a living off of like putting into focus and light these huge issues that are going on and what can happen? So I don't understand. Why can't we just have a movie? Why does everything have to be? It's the Joker movie.
Yeah.
Everybody feels like they're entitled to an opinion about everything, and I guess you are. But I'm entitled to not care about your opinion.
But it's the Joker.
Yeah.
Arguably the most famous bad guy ever.
Well, that's what I told
What did
Grant.
you think the movie was going to be about?
I'm going to watch the movie and then I'm going to feel bad for the Joker. I feel like.
Yeah, right.
But you are oh man.
That's kind of the point, though.
We
see people with mental health issues as damaged and irreparable and
I
stuff
do
like
not.
that. But for the most part, look, there's some chemical disorders out there, but for the most part, it's issues that come about in people's lives, man. We know a lot of people with mental health issues being in the military.
Yep.
It's
which usually were before the military. The military just exacerbated a lot of those issues.
A little bit of it, yeah. So it's I think it's good to have conversations about that stuff.
I do too.
Burying your head in the sand and pretending stuff doesn't exist, social justice warriors, doesn't help anybody.
But again, the Joker is a mythical figure.
Sure.
It's not real.
No, it's not a real person.
It's like, they've talked about the new Batman movie. It's going to be more of a look on what it would actually be like to be Batman. The truth is, dealing with all that all the time, you probably got some screws loose along the way and a lot of demons, right?
Sure.
So that's what they're going to do. They're going to focus on that. People are going to be upset. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
It's Batman.
Yeah.
It's mythical figures. Shut up.
I've checked out in life as far as caring about a lot of people's opinions these days.
I'm just saying.
I think that's why everybody's moving over to podcasts too.
Yeah.
Because you're able to find people with your views and listen to them versus what they're trying to feed you on CNN.
Constantly.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about my fear of flying for a minute.
Oh,
Ross,
did you see
know
that?
this. I hate flying.
I almost brought this. I think what you're going to read, I almost brought up.
And everybody
scare
knows
you.
that I especially hate American Airlines.
Yep.
They are the worst airline
Lately,
ever.
they are.
They got a lot of union stuff happening. A lot of
but
people
it's
are like on
awful.
strike and everything.
5 out of 6 flights we had just out here were canceled.
Yeah. We've had that.
8 of my last 9 flights on American alone, non-weather related issues or mechanical
Delayed
issues
or
have
canceled.
been canceled. Yeah, just outright canceled.
Yep. American Airlines is terrible. Anyway, all right. Here's something for people that hate flying.
Was that a sponsor read right there?
No.
American Airlines is the worst
American
Should be,
airline there.
Go anywhere else. Go to Spirit.
American Airlines mechanic sabotages plane pre-flight, hoping to earn overtime.
Yeah.
Now, this is probably just coincidence. The person's name, Abdul Majid Marouf Ahmed Alini.
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's a lot of names.
Is he
you feel bad
Irish
for him.
Irish Catholic?
Yeah,
Yes.
Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
Him and Beto O'Rourke are cousins. Okay.
Oh, he probably was made like kindergarten would have been awful for him to write all that.
Well, one of them's hyphenated. Like one of them's like a double name, I guess.
Oof.
Even worse.
Abdul Mahid.
Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I want more hours. You're not going to give them to me, so I'm just going to take this plane down.
Yeah, why not?
That's why I hate flying, yo. I hate it. I hate everything about flying.
He did say he didn't want anyone to get hurt. I did see that.
Of course,
No.
of course
You're
you're saying that now.
sabotaging a plane, you moron. Oh, my God.
And they caught it
I'm
before
having,
takeoff.
I'm having panic attacks even thinking about it.
Who knows what Mohammed's got going on at home? You know?
It doesn't
Could be another Joker
matter.
origin story. You
Or
don't know.
he just needed that extra 30. Maybe he was going out
The
that
extra
night.
30.
Trying
Yeah.
to pay for someone's dinner. The girl can't afford
Absolutely.
it.
Dear God.
Send her an invoice.
All right.
Maybe he had a bad date, Graham. You know, the girl didn't
Jeez.
pay, and he's like, "Oh, I got to start paying." Great.
I gotta
Here
start
goes
paying.
the wing of your plane.
All right. So Walmart is under fire. We talked about this last week with their whole ammunitions ban and things like that. But some gun companies are taking advantage of it. Have you seen Brownell's new shirt?
No.
It is. They have pretty much taken the entire Walmart logo and shirt and just turned it Brownell's. And then da-da-da-da-da.
Oh.
So purchase here. We've got your guns, people.
That's pretty smart, actually.
You're welcome.
Look, I don't care about Walmart doing that, to be honest. They looked at the bottom line of their company and said, not enough people are buying ammo here for us to justify dealing with the PR fallout, so let's just not do it. That's a business decision.
If it was their top seller, they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it. You're
No
right.
way.
Right. But Glenn Beck made a point, and I don't always agree with Glenn, but I really liked what he said about this. What good is the Second Amendment if every individual business takes the right away from us to go in there? So
Yeah,
you've got Kroger, Dick's, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, all these businesses are starting to say, yeah, we like the Second Amendment, but not in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I ignore those laws. by the way.
Well, so do I.
If you see me in a Walmart or a CVS or a Walgreens,
Just know.
I guarantee you that I have a gun on me.
Yeah.
But it begs the question, though, you know, and this is not a conspiracy theorist show, but if you can't outright take out the Second Amendment, what's the next best way to go about it, right? Just make it to where anywhere you go, you're not allowed to. Right?
Well, it's basically like free speech these days.
Yeah.
You take Alex Jones.
Right.
Yes, our Apple and Spotify and all those things, private companies.
Psychic vampires.
Who can take all of your but they can take your podcast off.
Yeah.
They can take you off everywhere, YouTube, everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to physically go to his website to watch his show.
Right.
With that, they're essentially just taking his free speech away. I don't agree with Alex Jones on a lot of things, obviously.
Right.
I view him more as an entertainer more than anything else.
Right. Yeah.
But if you start taking all of those things away, you're basically taking away his free speech. And I know the argument of like, well, he could get on a soapbox and just say whatever he wants in the middle of the street. Yes, but the platforms have changed and the ability to get your voice out there has changed.
Right.
Sure.
And so it's the same thing with guns, right? You're slowly taking it away in other places where it's like, oh, okay, cool, man.
Yeah.
We're just going to politely do this and
Yeah,
this and
yeah,
this
we're
and
gonna
this and this and
sidestep it
this.
real quick.
Yeah.
Well, look, I guarantee you, if Trump gets reelected next year, Facebook and Google, they're already under investigation.
Oh,
for
yeah.
this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
The hammer's fixing to come down. For
Yeah.
sure.
We
I agree.
talk about this on our show a lot, and I think we did when you were there last. Once a platform or a device or some kind of medium of communication becomes so ubiquitous
Right.
that you have to use it to conduct business,
Yeah.
like you have to, then their ability to limit your speech changes
I agree.
significantly.
I agree
And it's-
completely.
that's not in theory. That's
Because they have no problem taking your money.
yeah, exactly. But there's case law on this. So like
Yeah.
phones, if you're AT&T could not tell Alex Jones that he can't buy an AT&T phone and use an iPhone on it.
Right.
Like, they can't do that.
Yeah.
Because of his political beliefs.
Right.
That would just not work out.
Yeah.
Not that his political beliefs. He's just a lunatic.
Well,
But,
yeah, he's out there.
Some of it comes true, though.
Psychic
You're
vampires.
just like,
Psychic vampires.
yeah. But anyways, once any kind of modality like that becomes so ubiquitous, you can't limit people anymore. And I think Facebook and Google are about to see that.
Yeah.
This is not related at all, but you are dropping $3 words like right and left. And
Yeah.
I'm very impressed right
I'll
now.
send you an invoice for those two.
No,
Yeah.
please don't.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Send it to Graham.
Yeah. I'm just nodding like I know what you're saying.
like, I am impressed
I'm like,
right now.
in
It's
my head,
beautiful.
I'm like, I know some of those
I like
words.
it. I like it.
All right. So, CBS News reports, one of my favorite places. The Handmaid's Tales
Ew.
author, Margaret Atwood. You guys ever see Handmaid's
Yes.
Tales?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it, but
I
I know
don't
it is.
On
like
Hulu, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that she just wrote it as like, a book, like, a make-believe story for a book.
It's her real life.
I have
Yeah.
never believed it can't happen here. Quote.
Oh.
So she wrote it because she believes
That we're going to become barren?
that we are headed straight for
a
a
barren?
handmaid tale society.
Culture?
Yeah, isn't the whole premise of that like 99% of women in the world can't have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's a mighty big thing to just think it could happen one day.
Well, you're limiting them, and then who is the host? Essentially the woman is the host for the baby.
Do you think that has to do with this whole abortion thing? Why she would even say that? Women having rights to choose,
or
and all that
just
stuff?
the way because we talk about this a lot is with the way that robots are going, right?
Yeah.
Where people are starting to check out of relationships, especially like these
social
sex
media
robots
things and stuff.
Yeah,
as
well, the sex robots, the rise of that, and there's brothels already open in Italy and a couple other countries that have just pure
Bizarre.
sex robots.
Ew.
Yeah, but it's limiting the human interaction. So part of it could be, and again, I don't know this author personally, but part of it could be saying us as a society, we're going to get tired of either dating women or being married to women. And it's like, but you needed, humans to keep going. Do you start looking at it like that?
Oh, yeah. I've seen movies like that where crap, what was that movie we just watched?
Well, there was
the
one.
new Blade Runner. The new Blade Runner movie. Yeah, he's got like not a real girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like a robot girlfriend. That's weird.
We're getting closer and closer
Yeah.
to that. So, you know, if you've got a robot girlfriend that you love,
So your robot will identify as a human?
Yeah,
Is that- okay.
She
absolutely.
gets health benefits.
Fair enough.
But with the
Probably.
AI, and then last week, you know, the AI is already at an 8th grade level already.
8th grade reading level, which means it's commensurate with the average American. That's
Yeah,
not a
that's what I was
joke.
gonna say that.
That is,
Yeah.
That is absolutely
accurate,
that's
I was
true.
going to say smarter, actually, but okay.
Yeah, but so if we're there now, imagine how much faster it'll be. And then look, man, if you program somebody to have the same beliefs as you, like taking out the trash, for example,
Yes.
or paying for dinner.
First thing I'm doing. First thing I'm doing. Getting a robot that takes the trash out.
A lot of people might switch, and then they'll view women as like, well, we still need to make human children. So how do we
It'll be
do
like
it?
that
So,
Robin Williams movie. They'll
I'm gonna-
slowly start to
Patch
make 'em.
Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Totally
Not
kidding.
Not Patch
Just a
Adams.
big Patch Adams
What was the
fan.
name of that movie?
He is
What was that
amazing.
movie where he was
I
like a
love Patch.
robot and then he slowly
yeah.
like changed into like a
Oh,
real
I know what you're
person?
talking about.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
island.
What? Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial.
There you
Good
go.
job,
Bicentennial
Jake.
Man.
Good job, Jake.
All right. Let's jump on these last two things real quick, and then I want to get into some final stuff. Let's see. Oh, Don Lemon is in
Our
headlines
favorite.
now. Yeah,
Our
or as Jake
favorite.
likes to call him, Don Lemon.
Lemon.
Le Mans.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Slams black voters who prioritize the economy over the president's alleged racist comments.
Mm-hmm.
So black unemployment hit 5.5%.
Lowest of all time.
In August, lowest of all time. 6.2 million people are off of food stamps now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
How dare black voters judge that as a means to vote for the president in 2020? Don't you know he's a racist?
Well, you know Isaiah Washington. He's an actor, right?
Yes.
On Grey's
Yeah,
Grey's
I saw,
Anatomy.
yeah, I saw
Well,
him.
before he got fired, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so for a little while now, he's been talking about the same thing. Personally, I don't give I don't care about.
Good job.
Well done. Well done. I see it. I see it. Yeah.
It's two F-bombs.
I don't care about I care about politics, but I don't take sides.
Yeah.
To me, it's facts. Something's either right or wrong.
Right, yeah.
At any rate, he left the Democratic Party after years, and he was a bundler, like raising money for them and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
He just left because he's like, look, it's all you're all in your feelings now. It's not about
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about us anymore. It's about these 10 people that run organizations and how they feel and how
Yeah.
they disseminate their outrage to the rest of the community.
Yeah.
Like, look, the problem in the black community in the U.S. has and always will be poverty.
Yeah.
You know, Reconstruction didn't work.
Correct.
And the Civil Rights Act didn't really work
Yeah.
for a lot of that stuff.
No, you're right.
It made some progress, but there's still, I mean, look at any inner city. Look at Chicago,
Yeah.
for example.
Baltimore.
The best thing that we as a country can do for our black brothers and sisters is help the economy, particularly for them.
Correct.
Because then they can start buying their way out of this nonsense.
Correct.
Instead of depending on somebody else to lift them out battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the black community, and Candace Owens was on the show, and she does such a better job explaining it than me. But to paraphrase her, she says it best. You know, black people are finally starting to realize that they're, like you said, living in poverty. Nothing's ever changing, and they've been voting Democrat for the past 50, 60 years. When's the last time a non-Democrat was in any type of office in Chicago or Atlanta or New Orleans or Baltimore or any of these places that are just stricken?
Well, you know, 3 of the last 5 Illinois governors spent time in federal prison.
Yeah, that's
No, I
what I'm
didn't know
saying. And so the black community is starting to, she says, I'm quoting her, wake up to this fact, right?
Yeah.
She calls it, it's the 2019 version of the plantation is what she calls it. And she talks about it in her book that's coming out, that black America is starting to realize that Democrats don't care about them. They don't care. Most of the horrific things that have happened to the black community came from the Democratic Party.
Right.
And anyway, they still talk about it. And then you got people that are mouthpieces for CNN like Don Lemon coming out and shaming black people for voting for Trump. Let's get into one feel-good story, and then I want to talk about your book.
Sure.
And then where they can find out what's going on with Drinkin Bros. So, the University of Tennessee, this has kind of been a football episode. They've had a really rough start, 0-2. It has been
That's a rough start.
They've had a rough 18 years.
But it's like dumpster fire now at this point. I feel bad because Jeremy Pruitt, man, I like Jeremy Pruitt. But anyway, all right. But outside of actually performing on the field, they are performing in the hearts of America. There was a fourth grader who was bullied. I guess he wore this for College Colors Day. Yep, it was College Colors Day. The kid didn't have a University of Tennessee shirt. So he wore an orange T-shirt, and he actually, it's kind of small, but he drew UT and I guess stapled it to his shirt.
Yeah.
Well, naturally, as bad as it is, of course, this kid just got reamed when he went to school, right?
Yeah.
And so the University of Tennessee found out about it, so they have officially adopted his drawing as their T-shirt
That's
now.
so awesome.
For the thing. And so, I'm assuming that they gave the kid a shirt.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so that's now the new, at least for this month, the new official
that's really
University
cool.
of Tennessee shirt. So I thought that was
That's
cool.
really cool.
Little way to flip the script. But Ross,
Yeah.
man, congratulations,
Yes,
man.
congrats.
You and
Thank you.
Matt,
Thank you.
Killing
the
it.
number one in America book
In the world.
In the
In the
world.
world.
We
the
can
world,
talk
yeah.
about that because the most sales, yes. But on the New York Times list, it's been 5 and 9 respectively.
That's right.
So,
So
an
there was some
article-
controversy
yeah,
about
there's a
that.
lot of
because
controversy
it's a
about
curated
it.
list.
It's a curated list. So Janine Pirro from Fox News,
Right,
she's
yeah.
going through this right now, and this was a huge story on Breitbart about 2 days ago.
Right.
She outsold the entire list, and did not she was listed pretty low on the New York Times bestseller list, like 9, somewhere at 9, and Michelle Obama still sitting at number 2. So 2 weeks prior, this happened to us. With Matt's book, Thank You for My Service.
You should definitely go check it out, by
Great.
the way.
Yeah.
So I co-wrote it with him, and we're tracking the numbers all week on Amazon because you can see it half hour by half hour, and you're like, oh man, we're number 2 in the world behind a Dogman book, which is like
Dogmans are good
You
books.
can't-
My
you
kid
can't,
loves
man.
them.
and the kids love them.
Can't
They
go
love
after
them.
the
Kids love
Gunner's
them.
favorite right now.
However, on the New York Times, the lists are separated by nonfiction and children's books or whatever. So we were looking at it and we were like, man, I think we have this.
Yeah.
Problem is, New York Times list comes out first, comes out on a Wednesday. So we get the numbers. Matt calls me and he goes, hey, man, we're number 5. And I was like, oh, man. Well, it wasn't in airports. So, it wasn't in Walmart or Costco yet. So maybe people just went in and bought more hard copies in person. But then the next day, the next list comes out, Wall Street Journal. We're number 1. And I was like,
USA Today.
USA Today came after that. We're number 1 in the world. Still don't understand the New York Times bestseller list. And then Friday, Publishers Weekly comes out, and that gives you the exact number book for book. I mean, it's down to like the very last
Science,
book that you
yeah.
buy, right? We were number 1 in the entire world with 27,000 copies sold. Michelle Obama had sold 8,200 copies that week. She was number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. They put a book called Educated at number 1, which is a great book, by the way. But they put it at number 1. We had outsold them by close to 7,000 copies. So they were in second behind us. In very, very fine print on the New York Times bestseller list, it says this is a curated list and we have the right to choose what we want to choose. However, they're not choosing any conservatives.
Right.
Or anybody with a conservative
Go
background
figure.
Interesting.
No, and
to
if you-
be
if-
on the New York Times bestsellers. It just not one, right?
No. Who
Shapiro.
else?
Ben Shapiro was the only one to beat it because I think they were afraid of going against
I would be too.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
If he didn't, and he really did outsell everybody that week. Matt Best and I really did outsell everybody that week. So we had to huddle up with the publishers because those stamps that go on books right after you do it. We had to huddle up, and it's very rare that this happens because we're number 1 on 5 out of 6 lists. We had to put on their number 1 national bestseller instead of number 1 New York Times bestseller because we didn't know what to do when you make 5 out of 6 lists and you really do outsell everybody in the world. So the publishers at Penguin had to huddle up and do it. And I rail about this we do it on our show too, and so do you guys. Until it actually happens to you, you kind of think with all of these stories, maybe there's a little bit of outrage, maybe it's a grain of salt, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not as bad as what we think is going on in the media and the press and everything else. And then it actually happens to you, and it is.
Yep.
Well, didn't you tell me that one of the only videos you guys have ever had demonetized was the one I was on?
2 of yours.
It's 2 of mine.
Every time you've been on, demonetized. Every time. And no offense, but everybody, all your listeners who listen to this show, you don't swear.
Yeah.
You don't, we say awful things. Like, we're terrible human beings on our show.
Oh, no, you're
not.
The name Graham Allen is blacklisted on a lot of things, man.
So on YouTube, and look, your show is on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's monetized.
It's not. It's not.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, the numbers don't grow very much on YouTube. And then, everything we do, we have to submit it for review, and it very rarely gets approved.
A manual review. So we did that with both of your shows, and they immediately shot us back. And they were like, nope.
That Graham Allen guy? Oh, no.
no.
You're making no money off that dude. And and what you guys are experiencing is the real thing. This is not conspiracy stuff. This is real.
No.
There's an attack on conservatives and conservative viewpoints.
Yeah, we were with Shapiro the day after his book beat Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Right?
We were having lunch with
LA,
him, yeah.
And he was like, same thing. He's like, he didn't expect to make the list, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was preparing material to deal with that, kind of like we've been having to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for the New York Times, they didn't mess around with Ben Shapiro.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's very pick and choose, right? So 3 weeks before that, it was Tommy Lahren.
Yeah.
So it came down to because it's 1 through 15, right, on the list, and it came down to one of the last slots, and it was down to her and Joy Reid from MSNBC. Tommy Lahren outsold her by 30%. They put Joy's book on the bestseller list and took Tommy's off of it.
Yeah.
So she didn't even get to make it. Now, we have made it 2 weeks in a row. We'll find out tonight about the third week or whatever. But the numbers are so massive, it's kind of hard to ignore. To where, hey, they slotted us at 9, and it's like, oh, we should have been 3 this week and 1 the week before. And
So I'm looking at the current hardback nonfiction, and there's only 2 books on here in the top 15 that don't have reviews. One is Thank You for My Service, Matt Best, Ross Patterson. The other one is Unfreedom of the Press by Mark Levin, who's also a political. He's a conservative political commentator.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
So we haven't had one single review of the book by any major media outlet. The #1 book in the world has not one review from USA Today, nothing from the New York Times, nothing from the Washington Post.
Interesting.
Not one single review.
No one's even reached out.
Well,
at all.
Yeah, it's wild.
We can help combat that as much as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this right now, go right now to Amazon. Thank You for My Service book, Matt Best, Ross Patterson. Go get this book.
Walmart, Costco. It's in every airport.
Help support this book. Help support conservative values. Help support a veteran.
Yes.
And go get this book. Guys, they are giving me the signal back there. We got to cut this off real quick. Where can they find out what Drinkin Bros has got going on?
So, Drinkin Bros, we're on Facebook, obviously, YouTube channel as well. Now, look, I would not watch it in front of the kids, so I'm going to go ahead and give you that warning in advance, or any relatives who might have a heart issue.
Just watch it in your closet.
Yeah.
With a blanket over your
blanket
head.
over your head.
With a blanket over your head. But it's on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We just crossed 6 million listeners last week.
Congratulations,
That's
guys.
awesome.
Thank you very
That's
much.
awesome. That's
And then
awesome.
Drinkin Bros Instagram. My Instagram is at STJames. Same with Twitter. You were
at Dan Holloway.
At
There
Dan
you go.
Holloway. So yeah, Drinkin Bros Podcast, Ross Patterson Revolution Podcast.
And then obviously JT is at JT Article 15.
Yep.
Yes.
Pretty much there's 8 million different ways to
find
find
it.
out what
Oh,
Drinkin
yeah.
Bros has
Google
got
it,
going
go
on. Alyssa, where can they find you?
Alyssa Allen on Instagram.
And I am Graham Allen. You already know that because you're listening to the show. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Dear America Podcast, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Yeah.